Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one.
Hello. And good Sunday morning to you here in Greensboro, North Carolina at Presbyterian Church of the Covenant. It is a cold and a wet Sunday morning, so I'm very thankful that you have managed to make it here and join us this morning. As always, I'll remind you there's an offering basket in the back table. We don't pass that around. We do ask that you will find that on your way out. For session members, a reminder that there is a standing meeting, a called standing meeting immediately following the service right here down front. It should be fairly brief, I believe. And then you have a session meeting on Tuesday as well. So keep those things in mind. For those who didn't, make sure you pick up one of these flyers. They're at both of the entrance ways about this beautiful arrangement that we have here this morning. I think that you'll find meaning in the concept behind it as well as just how beautiful it is for Valentine's Day. So I think that's all the announcements that I have for you this morning. So I'm going to start with two very small quotes. One quote comes from Proverbs, and then I'll tell you where the other one comes from. So the first one's from Proverbs 18, chapter 18, verse 15, and I'm reading from the English Standard Version. An intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. And then my other quote is from musician and songwriter Frank Zappa, who says, "A mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open."
That being said, this is a very provocative song. Dear God, I hope you got the letter, and I pray you can make it better down here. I don't mean a big reduction in the price of beer, but all the people that made in her image, they're starving on their feet, 'cause they don't get enough to eat from God. I can't believe in you. Dear God, sorry to disturb you, but I feel I should be heard loud and clear. We all need a big reduction in amount of tears. And all the people that you made in your image, see them fighting in the street, 'cause they can't make opinions meet about God. I can't believe in you. Did you make disease and the diamond blue? Did you make mankind after we made you? devil too. Dear God, don't you if you notice, but your name is on a lot of quotes in this book. Us crazy humans wrote it, you should take a look. And all the people that you made in your image still believing that a joke is true. Well, I know it ain't so to you, dear God. I can't believe in you. I don't believe it. I won't believe in heaven and hell. No saints, no sinners, no devil as well. No pearly gates, no thorny crown. You're always letting us humans down. The wars you bring, the babes you drown. Those lost at sea and never found. And it's the same, the whole world round. The hurt I see helps to compound. The Father, Son, and Holy Ghost just want somebody's holy hopes. And if you look up there, you perceive that my heart's here upon my sleeve. If there's one thing I don't believe in, it's you. Dear God.
I think it is safe to say that there's a God that I don't believe in either. And you'll probably hear some veiled, I'm going to say veiled, references to reasons maybe why we should all put more thought into the God we do believe in my message today. I do want to remind you that immediately following the message, we will go straight into a time of meditation, some silence where you can either contemplate what I just talked about or use it for silent meditation. There'll be a brief period of silence, and Stephanie will bring us in with some soft music and then transition into the music that she's brought for us today. My message this morning is entitled, Embrace Your Inner Heretic. Now, at the core of each of us is our belief system. It is around that belief system that a large part of your personal identity is formed. That reality, at least in part, points to the relative success of fundamentalism in spirituality. You see, one of the strengths of fundamentalism is that it provides a stable core belief system. It is much easier to believe you understand who you are and to feel stable in your core belief system when it isn't fluctuating, which is great for fundamentalists. For folks like liberals and progressives, however, it is a little more difficult because the walls around our core beliefs are a little less rigid, a little more willing to flex when new information presents itself. Which means that we, more frequently than fundamentalists, are reshaping our understanding of who we are and how we relate to society, even if in small ways. See, that just isn't true for a fundamentalist. The protective walls around their core beliefs are tall and rigid, and with good reason. We have to keep in mind our core beliefs are much more than ideas or ideals. They are identification and identity. Who we understand ourselves to be is formed around them. So, when you challenge a specific belief, you are also, in small part, challenging the person's understanding of who they see themselves to be. The more fundamentalist their belief system, the more likely it is that you're questioning who they understand themselves to be. And for fundamentalist Christians, it's even more complicated than just that. In both direct and in subtle ways, they believe that their salvation, their very salvation, at least in part, is dependent upon being correct on issues of faith. Intellectualism, progressivism, on the other hand, invites the constant assessment of the correctness of a person's belief system. And that's kind of dangerous ground for a fundamentalist Christian. When you confront them on a particular belief, you're not only confronting them on an idea that they have held on more rigidly to for a longer time than most other folks do, but you're also confronting the very core of who they understand themselves to be. For them, it is those core beliefs upon which their salvation hangs in the balance, well, at least in part. Questioning it doesn't just question the belief, but for them, it puts into question a lifetime of holding on tightly to a belief which for them ultimately puts into question where they're going to spend the rest of eternity. When you take all of that into consideration, it's really not surprising that most fundamentalist Christians react negatively to, and they avoid altogether any intellectual questions of their core belief system. For that matter, it's not surprising that fundamentalists of all camps tend to have a less than positive reaction to progressivism. They just want to be right. Fundamentalists just want to be right, while progressives just hope to sort out some small version of the truth. It's a subtle difference, but it's really important. Here's the thing, though. I believe that the ability to objectively question your belief system, maybe particularly things to which we've been told we must conform to, basically dogma, I believe that the ability to objectively question your belief system is essential in having a healthy spirituality. Unfortunately, when you do that kind of thinking out loud, you tend to be labeled as a heretic. As a matter of fact, I've been called a heretic so many times that I finally just decided to embrace it a few years ago and wrote a blog series taking on all the essential Christian beliefs and went ahead and titled it, "This Collar is Too Tight, Heresies from a Southern Minister." Now here's the thing. Heresy isn't the virgin sacrificing, devil worshiping, religion destroying thing that centuries of inquisition and authoritarian brainwashing have taught us to believe it is. It seems to me we'd be better off understanding the word heresy by going back to the original Greek meaning of the word, which is translated literally as to choose or to go one's own way. Heretic, to go one's own way. Basically, heresy is a word that people tend to label other folks with when they are exercising free will, exercising their ability to choose. And for the reasons I mentioned as we begin, fundamentalists tend to get all anxious and unhappy when someone else is exercising their ability to make choices for themselves. As a matter of fact, today, I'm coming off of my third Facebook ban because a group of fundamentalists keep reporting my religious free thought as hate speech. In the eyes of the more fundamentalist wings of many established religions, choosing your own way rather than blindly following a preset spiritual dictate is a horrendous crime and grounds for persecution, or at least reporting someone to Facebook for hate speech. The history of both Christianity and Islam is stained with the blood of those tortured and killed because they committed the unforgivable sin of questioning the answers handed down by religious authorities. Now, what is so strange about all of this is that many of the religions that stand over and against mindful questioning today were founded by folks labeled as heretics and dangerous outlaws. Jesus was crucified for blasphemy. Blasphemy. Muhammad was chased out of Mecca for questioning the local beliefs. That is an irony. I mean, think of that irony. These men were all about questioning tradition and questioning established forms of authority, which is exactly what the fundamentalists claiming to follow them now hate. In reality, almost all, or at least many religions were started because someone started questioning and then left an existing tradition and created their own. But instead of honoring their example, most of their followers turn their perspectives into one form of dogma or another, and typically then use it in a way that requires other folks to fall in line and conform. Exactly the opposite of what their founders would have wanted. Now, it's not true, of course, for all spiritual practices. Buddhism, for example, is a tradition that allows and encourages freedom. Lindley, a Chinese Buddhist teacher, once said, if you encounter the Buddha, kill him. Kill the Buddha? I mean, really? That's what they did to Jesus, sure, but kill the Buddha? Now, of course, Lindley wasn't talking about a literal death. He was simply trying to teach a rejection of dogmatism that inevitably results once we put our teachers on a pedestal. So precisely because Lindley loved Buddha, he warned people against turning him into an object of worship, which unfortunately is a warning that has gone somewhat unobserved by some Buddhists today. On his deathbed, Buddha told his followers, do not accept what you hear by report. Do not accept tradition. Do not accept a statement because it is found in our books, nor because it is in accordance with your belief, nor because it is the saying of your teacher. Be lamps unto yourselves. Be lamps unto yourselves. Similarly, one of the great teachers of Taoism, Zhuangzi, wrote, the torch of chaos and doubt, this is what the sage steers by. Chaos and doubt. The point here is that many of the greatest spiritual teachers stand over and against what we hear from many fundamentalist religious leaders who threaten hellish punishment unless we obey their creeds and dogma. Sadly, many religious people have an irrational fear of questioning what they hold most sacred. And because they think that certain beliefs are desirable, they come up with twisted rationalizations to justify those beliefs against any possible attack, rather than simply taking an honest look at them. They are terrified by the thought that if they begin doubting their certainties or looking at them with a critical eye, the entire castle of values upon which they have based their lives will come tumbling down. And because of it, they try their hardest to avoid facing any facts that would force them to change their minds. That course of non-action, of sticking unquestionably to and reassuring yourselves may feel safe, but ultimately it only hurts in the long run. The truth is that testing our most sacred values against different opinions will only strengthen us. We really have nothing to lose by being open-minded. It's a win-win situation. Think of it this way. If we test our most sacred values against all kinds of different options, two things can happen. One, we find out that all other alternatives are not as effective as what we already believe in the first place. So that's a win. It increases our self-confidence by reinforcing the feeling that we are on the right track. Plus, when we engage in discussions with others who hold different ideas, our arguments and understandings about our own beliefs will be stronger and more effective because we have explored many of the counter-arguments and understand where those counter-arguments fall short. The second, number two, if instead we find out that our beliefs were not as good as we thought they were, and that there are better alternatives available, then that's a great result as well. It's another win because we have a chance to correct our spiritual path and head towards a path that's better and more fulfilling to us. In both cases, the positive outcome begins with questioning core beliefs. The very thing that will cause us to be labeled heretics. In the end, untested beliefs are not a treasure which we should preserve, but rather they can become a cage which we must escape. They keep us prisoners of our own opinions and prevent us from facing reality for what it is. As Nietzsche puts it, I am a man who wishes nothing more than daily to lose some reassuring belief, who seeks and finds his happiness in this daily liberation of the mind. Instead of thinking, it must be a good belief because I believe it, we need to make the move to I believe it because it's a good belief. When we do, we will possibly be labeled heretics. But remember, in the truest understanding of its meaning, a heretic is a person who is choosing to go their own way, which is part of the journey to self-discovery, which, as it turns out, is one of the essential pieces to a healthy spiritual life. So, I invite you to be a spiritual heretic, to embrace it, and discover the freedom of a wide open, inquisitive spiritual life.
paint on a sign. Is there anyone who really recalls ever breaking rank at all? For someone yelled real loud one time. Oh, everyone believes in how they think it ought to be. Oh, everyone believes that they're not going easily. Belief is a beautiful armor that makes for the heaviest sword. Like punching underwater, you never can hit who you're trying for. Some need the exhibition, some have to know they tried. It's a chemical weapon for the war that's raging on inside. Oh, everyone believes, from emptiness to everything. Oh, everyone believes, and no one's going quietly. We're never gonna win the world. We're never gonna stop this war. We're never gonna beat this if belief is what we're fighting for. We're never gonna win the world. We're never gonna stop this war. We're never gonna beat this if belief is what we're fighting for. Is there anyone who can remember ever surrender with their life on the line? Oh, everyone believes, from emptiness to everything. Oh, everyone believes, and no one's going quietly. We're never gonna win the world. We're never gonna stop this war. We're never gonna beat this if belief is what we're fighting for. We're never gonna win the world. We're never gonna stop the war. We're never gonna beat this if belief is what we're fighting for. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. What puts 100,000 children in the sand? Belief can. Belief can. What puts the folded flag into his mother's hand? Belief can. Belief can.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. Just for those, I assume most people always pick up on Stephanie's music is always so thoughtful and deeply connected to the theme of our day. And hopefully you saw the email that went out this week of Stephanie's playlist, which is going to become a regular thing where not only will it be links to the songs so you can listen to the music and hear the words a little bit more, but also understand her thought process behind it and connected things as well. So something to look forward to each week when that comes out. But thank you for the work you put in. It's just amazing to see how it all connects. We come to a time where we're going to take a little moment to go inward, and it can be more meditation if you would like. It can be a moment of prayer if you'd like. It can be just a time where you grab the words that come to you. And this is one of the Sundays where I'm going to use one of the prayers, meditations from my book, Progressive Prayers for Progressive People. This one is entitled On Blind Faith. Let us bow. Easy is good, or so we've been taught. We recognize that at times we've even come to like an easy faith, a blind, thoughtless faith. We like to believe what we believe because we believe it. It's easy, which feels good. There is a certain blessed assurance that it seems to carry till we see the hate and discrimination and division and violence that kind of faith can bring. When held up to the light of Jesus' teaching, that kind of faith rings false and shallow, the emperor's clothes of Christendom. We long for a faith which matches the depths of our love. It may be that our very real and very deep love is the exact reason we so readily cling to a faith that feels equally deep, even when it's blind. May we learn to be investigators of our faith. May we be challenged to grow deeper in relationship, deeper in faith, through an inquisitive faith, through knowledge, and through more informed understandings. May we celebrate those who ask questions, who come at thoughts on faith from new perspectives, as they challenge us to grow even closer to each other and to creating a more loving world for all people. Amen. Receive this blessing. May you walk in harmony with each other and with creation, recognizing that we are one. And may you know love and happiness throughout your life. And may your words and actions bring that love and happiness to all that you meet.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you